Hello, welcome back to the 55 Buick piece of shit special build. Hey, it's getting to be less of a POS as it goes along, but not too bad. All right, so now that this rear area of the trunk is all good to go, time to get the gas tank in. Okay, things are looking quite a bit different under here than they were, which is good. We now have all metal everywhere. So no more rusted out trunk. It's all good. Good. For nothing. Easy to do. MIG welding's easy. Don't know how to do it. So we got a couple spacers in here to knock the tank down an inch. I had welded studs on the back of those for the straps that'll hold it up. But I still need to put anchors on the other side for the straps. I have the hole cut in the floor for the vapor dome on the top of the tank. So next thing we'll do, raise the tank up on here and look into straps and the rear mounts. Okay, so first thing I have to do, obviously I know my straps are going to run from the stud on the back of the spacer here across back to here. So I'm just going to mark on the cross member where that would be, just using a piece of straight whatever. That there. Mark that. I know where my other point's going to be. Do the same thing on the other one. Alrighty. Now, got to put some anchor points over here for the other side of the straps. Alrighty, so for the back, I like to use a pretty long bolt so that when you put the strap up, you have some slack, and then you just crank down on the bolt and it'll suck up the strap to the bottom. Because if you ever have to put the tank in and you're on your back, it's tough to wrestle with a tank and get it up tight with a short bolt and get it installed. So factory usually does it this way with one end with a long bolt, so that's how I always do it. And I was going to make like a T-slot in this brace here and like slide it in and drop it down. And I'm like, you know what? Just keep it simple. Duh. So I'm just going to drill a hole straight up through this, straight up through the trunk floor, make the hole in the trunk floor a little bigger so you can drop the bolt right into this brace from inside the trunk floor. And then to plug the hole in the trunk floor, I have these plugs that were from, I think F-Body. Used to save them when I bought all those Trans Ams and Z28s for the LT1s. I saved all kind of hardware things to have around. So I have these rubber plugs, so I can just use these to plug the hole in the trunk floor that I make that goes through. No big deal. Simple deal, right? So let's get the hole drilled in that. Well, camera turned off, but holes are drilled. 3/8 bolt fits in there good. This is a 3/8 by I think 3 inches. So that's good. Now we'll go up inside, work on it from the trunk side. All right, I'm going to hit this with a hole saw. Looks like it's close enough for this. See what it does. All right, the hole is drilled. The hole saw is pretty, that hole saw is pretty beat. But it did it. Woo! The piece in there is hot. we'll get that out later. Thing is, my rubber plugs will work just fine. So that's good to know. Cool. All right. Let me get the other hole drilled. Okay, holes are drilled in the trunk floor. Have the rubber caps to plug up the holes, which will work great. And this way also, can actually get a ratchet on this bolt if needed. That can sit in there just like that. Go down to the trunk strap, and you can put a ratchet on it if needed from up here to hold it, and that'll work great to get back underneath. One other thing I'm going to do before I bring the tank up, now that we have the bolts in there, is obviously I got to make a cover for the bump in the tank and the fuel lines to come through. And I need to be able to bolt that down to the floor, have it removable. So I'm going to use these, I guess you just call them front end assembly clips. I mean, they're used on fenders and whatever else forever. So these will, you drill a hole in the metal and you slide this over like that, and then you can just put a bolt through and into it. But I'm putting them in upside down right now. Lost that one. So I can mark where the holes will be, remove the clips, drill the holes, and then I can put the clips back in. All right, all the bolts are in. These things are really easy to work with. Just put it in upside down, use a marker through the hole to mark the sheet metal, remove it, drill the hole, and it goes in like that. And now you have a threaded nut, and the bolt will, if I can get this in, the bolt will go right into the nut. And that's all there is to it. If you want to get fancy, you can put riv nuts in it or something. But I don't have a riv nut tool, so these will work just fine. Now, I'll get underneath the car, get the gas tank up in the air. All right, so you can see from underneath, got our bolts installed. I may cut them down a little bit shorter, but I don't think they're so long you would see them under the car, or rather from, wouldn't see them if you were looking at the car. That's all. I just don't want them visible, but I'll probably cut a 1/2 inch off them or something. And you can see all the threaded inserts for the cap. You can see it's nothing sticks down far enough. I may have to use different bolts. I'll probably, if I use these bolts, take the sharp edge off the end, even though they're well above the height of the tank. No need having anything sharp pointing down the gas tank. So, next thing I'm going to do is put some foam insulation on these supports. Just going to use some heating insulation tape that has glue on the back, and that'll stick on there, and it's just a I don't know what you want to call it, just put a cushion between the tank and the metal so there's no rubbing, and then we'll get the tank up in the air. You can buy this stuff at Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever. It's just insulation tape, and it has glue on the back of it. That'll give a nice cushion for the tank. All right, so tank is obviously up in the air on those stands. And these are my original 55 Buick fuel tank straps that I found in the trunk. They're a little beat, but I've got them bolted into the studs in the back, and I'm going to see if they're long enough to work. And it looks like they are. pretty good. In fact, they might even be a little long, which is pretty good. So I'm just going to mark where a hole would be drilled in this thing and zip it up. See what it looks like. Alrighty, and mark the spot where the hole should be. And the strap was actually a little long. In fact, long enough that I could fold it over to double it up, just to get a little more strength on the end. Because these things just seem kind of flimsy, but that's what they used in 55, so see if they work in 2022. Let's get it installed. Gonna be close. Let's just suck it up first and see what it looks like. That's gonna work just fine. Based on that, I'm going to have to make a spacer. I'll show you what I mean. All right, so that strap is going to work perfectly. No issues. However, you can see the strap where I have it tight. I can't suck it all the way up to the cross member up there. So I'm going to make just a piece of tubing spacer there to take up that gap. And then the nut will be able to tighten up and everything will be fine. But otherwise, it worked out perfectly. Strap's bolted up there to the stud, run right along, and suck that right up to the floor. Very good. And I can see I have my gap up there, so nothing's rubbing. Good, good. All right, so I'm going to put the other strap in, measure up for some spacers there, get them cut, get them in. Alrighty. Okay, spacers are in, bolts are tight, straps are working just fine, and the tank is in. Got clearance everywhere, looks good, not gonna move. All right. Next step, a few things we could do here. Do the filler neck, could start on the fuel pump. I think I'll get the filler neck done next. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do now that the gas tank is installed is install a filler. This is the filler from the Roadmaster wagon tank, factory piece, which I can modify to work. The only thing I see right now that's an issue is this vent line is hitting the car, so I need to move it over to the side or even over to the other side of the fill neck and get it attached. But it's impossible to video under there, so I think I'm just going to cut this up and show you what it looks like when I'm done. All right, there's the filler neck all installed. Basically all I had to do was shorten it. It worked out very well. The vent tube I cut like an inch out and angled it. Same thing with the filler pipe. and everything's wonderful. I made a little tab here to mount the filler so it can't move. Once I get the car turned around the other way, I'll weld this to the tube and get this clamp off. But that's to hold it where I need it, so I know where it goes, and works out good. So I basically have a factory fuel injection setup here. Perfect. So that is it for the gas tank install. Next, I don't know, maybe next we'll do the Walbro 450 install and start on the fuel system. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.